Vitamin B12 is a water-soluble vitamin and it is also known as cobalamin. It plays an important role in cellular and metabolic processes, such as DNA synthesis contributes to the formation of deoxyribonucleic acid, that is the genetic material present in all cells. Lipid synthesis, neuronal function, and red blood cell functions, that is, help maintain the health of blood and neurons. The amount of vitamin B12 a person needs per day depends on their age. Even though the optimum form of this vitamin is synthesized by bacteria present in the digestive tract of animals, this cobalamin is a cation. And it is very important that it is ingested through the food and diet, yet its use in the organism is minimum, and almost everything is discarded in the feces. This happens because the synthesis takes place in far distance to the absorption site. It should be noted that it is not common to find a deficiency of vitamin B12 in human beings, except for the extreme vegans, either due to malabsorption or an unbalanced diet. Food contains different beneficial components for health. In some cases, consumption of fortified food and dietary supplements may provide nutrients that might not otherwise be consumed in the minimum requirement amounts. For example, during certain life stages such as pregnancy. So, the main source of these water-soluble vitamins are animal-based foods, including fish, beef, cheese, milk, and other dairy products.
Vitamin B12 metabolism starts when food, such as dairy products or meat, enter to the mouth and then go to the stomach. Pepsin found in the stomach dissociates cobalamin from the proteins in food. The free vitamin B12 will bind to the cobalophyllins, R binders, or transcobalamin 1 proteins found in the saliva, and this will form the vitamin B12 R binder complex. The parietal cells located in the stomach from the intrinsic factor will go to the duodenum as well as the vitamin B12 R complex. It has to be said that transcobalamin 1 binds to the cobalamin and allows the vitamin to endure the acidic environment until it gets to the duodenum. Due to the pancreatic proteases, the vitamin B12 binder complex will separate and allow the vitamin B12 bind with the intrinsic factor. The vitamin B12 intrinsic factor complex will go through the small intestine until the ileum, where the absorption of the vitamin B12 starts. Vitamin B12 will separate from the intrinsic factor and will bind to transcobalamin 2, which came from the liver. This is in charge of moving the molecule to cells that need it. Meanwhile, it will be stored in the liver until it's needed.
Megaloblastic anemia is a type of macrocytic anemia characterized by the production of large red blood cells, which are called megaloblasts. These cells cannot carry the proper amount of oxygen throughout the human body and eventually provoke the reduction of the red blood cells because of their sizes. Sometimes they are not able to escape from the bone marrow where they are formed and travel through the circulatory system. This happens when the bone marrow is unable to release functional red blood cells as a result of an inadequate maturation of the nucleus and cytoplasm, mainly when there is an alteration in the DNA synthesis or even during the nuclear division, ending in an ineffective erythropoiesis. Vitamin B12 and folic acid deficiency are two of the main causes of this type of anemia, because these two elements play an important role during DNA synthesis. A lack of consumption of vitamin B12 sources mainly happens when a person is following a restrictive vegan or vegetarian diet. Also, there can be some problems in the cobalamin transporters, ending up in a malabsorption. And there are some genetic factors that can also promote the development of this type of anemia. At first, the symptoms can be weakness, fatigue, pale skin, etc. But in a long term, this can cause neurological problems like memory loss. So it is really important to solve this problem in time.
Nowadays, there has been an increase in diets with diet-rich implants based on products, and it has been developing for varying reasons and aspects in its conformations. With the partial inclusion or total exclusion of the animal-based products, there are big differentiations between the diverse diets with a high consumption of vegetables. Vegan diets and vegetarian diets can include a extensive spectrum of nutrients. Nevertheless, it states that the risk of the deficit also increases not only in nutritional but in proteins, omega-3 fatty acids, iron, zinc, iodine, vitamin D, vitamin B12. And with the current nutritional guidelines, it might decrease the potential threat of the developing diseases that are prominent in these kinds of diets, such as the megaloblastic anemia caused by the vitamin B12 deficit. It should be noticed that it is not common to find a deficit in human beings, except for extreme beginnings either due to malabsorption or imbalancing diet. Nonetheless, although it is associated the anemia with this kind of diet, the prevalence in the diagnosis of the megaloblastic anemia has been observed in infants. All exclusively breastfeed has vitamin B12 deficit caused by the absence of the supplements and nutritional guidance during the pregnancy. Despite the loss of the complication during the gestation period and breastfeeding,